Number 4, British Gas, dirty thieving. You know what they are. So I'd moved forward into them defending the claim against my particulars of claim, and essentially they allowed it to get to the court stage, and what I now believe to be a nefarious tactic by people who are defending themselves, solicitors, advocates, barristers, and so on, is that they will approach you on the day before you go into the courtroom. So on my first hearing, this is exactly what happened. The judge who I'd had in a United Utilities claim was present, so she'd already seen me before. She was quite shocked when she seen my boat. We sat down, and I start getting all my organisation on the table, computers out, all my documentation, etc, etc. Behind the scenes, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I just knew I needed to be organised and try and remember some shit. And British Gas, made a motion to strike out. At the same point, the judge looked at me and said, "Mr. Hammond, you do realise we're here for a preliminary hearing?" And I said, "Nope, no one's told me it's a preliminary hearing. I've got the court order, the hearing date, and that's all I've got." She then picks up a piece of paper and wiggles it frantically. "Well, I've written on here in handwriting that this is a preliminary hearing." And she looks at British Gas and she went, "Did you get the notice of preliminary hearing?" They hadn't had the notice it was a preliminary hearing. What this preliminary hearing was supposed to be for was to probably work out why my particulars weren't up to scratch from a lawful legalese perspective. And British Gas were trying to say they couldn't defend my particulars. In other words, what I'd said, they didn't know how to defend it. Now, that's bullshit. So the judge then says, well, this is a preliminary hearing, so I'm not going to hear your motions to strike out. You clearly haven't had the documentation, so that's an administration error on my side, on our side, because this should have been sent out to you. And looks at me and goes on about the particulars of claim. In other words, she's edging her way towards knobbing me off, even though she said to them she's not going to hear this. All a game. So then she says, for the record, Mr. Hammond, if they can't defend your particulars of claim, how are we supposed to proceed? And I just went, well, I do apologise if there's an error in my paperwork. There's an error in your paperwork. We're sat here thinking it's a preliminary hearing, thinking it's a full hearing, and it's not. So we all make mistakes. I says, I can explain what the particulars mean, if that's any good to you. She gets flustered and adjourns for a new hearing. Now, there's more of these stories to come out. They are quite interesting. If you're interested in fighting the big man, then just lock in, just do me a solid one and follow it and share it with people, please. I know people can't be asked these days of watching X long of a video, so I'm trying to keep them all short rather than one long story. I will do a long form story on YouTube, so it will all become probably more coherent If you haven't watched the previous ones, they're available. Just go and have a wander and have a look. Again, this is me, asked for a full and final settlement. I should not have been billed. The words are clear. They've billed me. They've blackened my credit file. I put a claim in, and now the judge's administration are making errors in the court, and that's just gone in my favour. So, British Gas 0, Hammond 1. Peace!